It is you, the people, who are the court of last resort.
At approximately 8:30 on Tuesday, July 17th, 1923, in this eastern city, a double murder was committed. According to the testimony in the case of People versus Conrad Murray, this was how it happened.
I'm sorry, we're closed.
Get over there. Up, up!
Conrad Murray was arrested, tried, convicted, and sentenced to prison for life. There was never any doubt of his guilt. But 34 years later, there was a question as to his fitness to rejoin a free society. There were those who felt that he had paid for his crime, that he was rehabilitated, and should be paroled. And for this reason, they made an appeal to the court of last resort. Court of last resort is actually at work today, investigating cases throughout the United States. Its board of investigators, a group of 7 men, experts in law and criminology, bound together in their dedication to improving the administration of justice. The basic interest of the court of last resort is that of penology, in particular the rehabilitation of convicts, a problem about which the court feels very strongly. In the Conrad Murray case, we had received a letter from the prison authorities briefly outlining Murray's situation. The court assigned me, Sam Larson, to investigate.
Hello, Larson.
Warden, good to see you again.
How are you?
Fine.
This is our chaplain, Dr. Reed.
Dr. Reed, nice to meet you.
How do you do? Sit down.
Thank you.
Now, before we go any further, you understand Murray is guilty. We're not trying to prove that he isn't.
Yes, I know.
Right. He's also lucky because there was no death penalty in the state. If there had been, we wouldn't be talking about him.
Warden, in your letter, you mentioned that the sentence handed down specifically recommended life imprisonment with no possibility of parole.
For the first 3 years, he had one of the worst records of any inmate here. He spent 16 months in the hole. Then somewhere along the way, he began to wake up. When I took over 18 years ago, I got interested in him. You want to take the complete file with you. But here's a summary of his record. Now, take a look. I want you to notice what happened 22 years ago. Well?
On paper, it's a great argument for rehabilitation, parole.
Cautious?
Wouldn't you be? There are a lot of toes to step on when the court of last resort gets into a case like this.
A long time ago, Murray committed a crime. A bad one. He's done something to make up for it. In my book, that's called rehabilitation.
Unfortunately, the people don't always look at it that way, particularly when it comes to a murderer.
Then what does rehabilitation mean? What's the point of it? You can't call Murray a murderer now because he isn't. 34 years ago, he had to be punished for what he did. All right. He's not the same man anymore.
Warden, I'm not arguing with you.
I know. C.D., you've been awful quiet.
Listening.
Tell him what you think.
Well, I feel the same. The man's accomplished a great deal. Not only for himself, but for the prison as well. I'll tell you this. Murray has done wonders with first offenders. Teaching them, making them feel useful. They respect him. And when they're released, not many of them come back.
He sounds pretty unique.
Maybe. But he's also a great example of what rehabilitation can mean. Fellows who've been in 10, 15 years. If a man thinks he has no chance to get out ever, what's left? But if they see Murray get a fair break, it'll give them a reason to make the grade. Rehabilitate themselves. Do what he's done.
Well, the thing is, Warden, from the public's point of view, you've picked a rough case to prove the point.
Murray belongs outside. We want you to talk to him. If you agree, maybe between us we can get him another parole hearing.
I'd like to talk to him.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Send Murray over to the interview room, please. You see that and that? One of Murray's contributions to the communication system here.
He installed it?
What he's done in this place has saved the taxpayers about $250,000.
You're here about Murray?
That's right.
You're from that court of last resort.
Yes.
Read about you. Pretty good.
Thank you.
Murray will be right along, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Larson?
That's right.
This is Murray.
How are you? Heard a lot about you, Mr. Murray.
I might say the same, Mr. Larson.
Did you know I was coming?
Yes. Court of last resort, aren't you?
Yes. Prison grapevine? It's an amazing invention.
Combination high-frequency telepathic telephone communication. If I could patent it, I'd be a rich man.
I'd be willing to back you. You smoke?
Thank you. You know, I've been wondering what I'd say to you. How I'd say it.
You say anything you like.
It's not the same as talking to people in here.
You mean you feel you're on exhibit?
Thanks for saying it.
Forget it, you're not. For one thing, I'd like to hear more about your work.
My work?
Yes.
Took a long time. I guess like most lifers, after I'd been here for a while, I volunteered for the usual things. Guinea pig for research. Influenza, allergies, psychological tests. I've forgotten half of them, but it was something else to do. Out of the routine, you know. And then I started to get interested in physics. I read a book by accident. That channeled off into the electrical field, and I was hooked.
Yes, the warden told me about the communication system you installed.
That was quite a job.
I'll bet.
Would you like to see it?
Very much.
I'll get a pass and take you around.
Fine. Through sheer willpower, this man had educated himself, become an expert electrical engineer who on the outside would have been worth $50,000 a year. Here was a prison inmate, a murderer, devoting his energies to helping the very society which had convicted him in the first place. What I was seeing was the perfect example of a principle in penology.